Welcome to episode 6 of the Kernel by Obsidian. And in this episode, we are talking to Ian and Chris from Red Hat, and we're talking all about AI control, digging into the depths of AI and the machine and how the enterprise can harness these technologies to really thrive. So we're here talking about the impact of tech, open source, AI, and all these different emergent technologies on the enterprise and how enterprises are structuring their systems. And the question I'm asking is, how is technology in the enterprise going to look over the next 5 years? And my challenge to you is asking, over the next 5 years even relevant anymore? Is it not even the next 6 months, because things change so much? So I'm here with the incomparable Ian. And the wonderful Chris, and we're here to just talk around these topics. So Chris, earlier on we were chatting when everyone was chilling out and warming up a little bit, and you said the more things change, the more they stay the same. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so what seems to happen is the tools that we do things with in the enterprise, they're changing constantly. We're always pushing bigger, better, faster, more. But in a lot of businesses, it stays the same, what you need to do. Meaning that a lot of enterprises aren't necessarily always technology first. You think about manufacturing, right? There are guys that put beans in tins. They rely on technology to make their business efficient, but if the technology is not there, they can still put the beans in the tins. So it's about the principles that we apply. If we just apply the practices, we just get newer tools that make us do that faster. Every couple of years or months. These days, things iterate at a crazy rate. So, I think it's about us understanding what these things are going to mean. What we're going to be using in 5 years' time is probably not going to look anything like what we're using today, and how we go about it. But what we're trying to achieve, I think, will pretty much remain the same. It's just we're going to be more efficient. We're going to be faster. And maybe safer is an option. Some guardrails would be nice sometimes.
So guardrails for like just how we use AI or cybersecurity or all of the above?
Guardrails for cybersecurity, I would say.
Okay.
The amount of cyber attacks are going through the roof. I think more and more people are going to need to put in guardrails, as you say, to protect themselves against that. With the rise of post-quantum cryptography, which is a big word for me, coming in, no one can tell you whether it's next year or in 5 years' time. Who knows what's, all the doomsday people are telling you that passwords that took years to crack before are going to be cracked in minutes, and people are going to have to respond to that. So it's all a very interesting scenario of where that's going, right?
But I thought quantum was like miles away, and that came down not to the availability but to the sheer cost of it because of the size of the machines required for quantum, right? Has that changed?
It's starting to change.
Really?
I think it's like anything that gets industrialized, right? It's really costly to start off with, and in the purview of a select few. But once they get the formula going, it's easy to copy. And when you start copying, you find better ways to make it go faster, like anything else, and make it cheaper. So maybe not, like next year everybody's going to have a quantum computer underneath their desk. That's not, it's not going to happen. But
well, there goes my gaming.
yeah. But if you think this happened with something like AI, right? At one stage, it was really the domain of research laboratories and very, very large supercomputer farms. And now this is a technology that, with a bit of effort, you can run on your desk at home. Right? You can build a model and run a model on your laptop today and ask it questions and get answers and things like that. So just the acceleration where it went from something that was very exclusive, maybe 2 years ago, it's now become accessible. So it's really, I almost want to say it's democratizing the technology. And the same thing will happen with things like quantum at some point in time. Once it becomes stable and it becomes repeatable, then the people that see the opportunity will find a way to make it affordable.
Yeah. I mean, so taking us back actually to the guardrails, I'm really interested to find out what that means. Like, what do those look like? I mean, let's say for an enterprise, what are these guardrails supposed to do? What do they look like? How do we fix this?
Yeah. So I can talk about a recent example that I had that could have resulted in a breach. Is people using external IT tools to analyze internal data. So having a look at past 5 years worth of sales data and feeding into an unknown engine. I think a company needs to guard against that type of misuse. So those are one of the guardrails of how do you protect your data outside of your enterprise. And I think it also goes a lot towards planning on AI. If a company is going to be adopting AI, where do they put that AI machine? Is it that's accessing its data? Is it outside the network? Is it inside the network? Are the costs affordable? Those type of things. Chris, I don't know what you think of that. You closer?
Yeah, I think guardrails, it's a bit of an abstract concept. I think it comes back to sound principles. We spoke about those first principles. In the early days, big organizations got the internet, right? But very few people got access to it because it was dangerous. Now it is pervasive. You cannot do your job without that. But somewhere along the line, we still need to be sensible about that. It's like raising children. I think with any new technology, it's going to go through stages of life. It's going to go through infancy. It's going to go through being a toddler, then a teenager, and then it'll eventually be a grown-up. And in each stage of its life, you have different rules that will need to apply to that. But I think it's important to understand that you have to think about those rules and what they mean for you. And it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to maybe speak to folks that specialize, because unless you're a very, very big multinational with a very large budget for technology, we won't have the expertise on staff to say, oh, we can't do this because of potential leak and things like that. So it's get the help when you need it, and then be careful of what you pay for when it comes into help, because just getting advice and not using it doesn't help either.
Well, I don't know. So I mean, so what would be the kind of the basics? So you've got to think of a future where a quantum computer will crack that 12 letter password that George in accounting has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ABC. You've got to come up with tools and solutions that are, I guess, and please don't shoot me for saying this, future forward. So what are some of the basics for now, for then?
I think, from a practical boots on the ground perspective, one way that you kind of protect yourself as an organization, but you can even take it as practice as an individual, I suppose, is just think about what you're doing. Where's the data going? But more specifically, in an enterprise, it helps to standardize. Okay, standards are actually very valuable, because standards allow us to establish a practice, establish a process, excuse me, and then because we've aligned to something like that, we've got a standard operating environment, for argument's sake, we can preserve a bit of that institutional knowledge, because people cycle in and out of an organization, but systems don't. And IT technology tend to be around there. So that's the starting point, is just know that you've got some sort of predictability and consistency in terms of systems. Then understand, what am I doing with these systems? Typically classify these things in terms of, is there really sensitive work being done on these environments, or is they less sensitive? And apply appropriate policy according to that. And when it gets to that space, even the world of free and open tools, there are a lot of things that can help you do that again. But just having a tool for the sake of having a tool doesn't help you. You've got to have an objective of what is it that you want to achieve with that.
I think that's key. That is really key, because it's so easy when you're in the business to start to buy things that you think are going to plug the gaps, and then you suddenly have 1,000 things plugging 1,000 gaps, and nothing speaks to anything else, and it's an incoherent system, right?
Correct. So I like what Chris said there around standardization, and I don't know whether you know about Red Hat as a company. We enterprise grade open source software. So we provide the support, the patches, and so forth to make sure that you're running the best example of that software in your environment. In the open source world is where a lot of the creativity comes. So automation, AI, all of those other things are amazing, and the innovation is constant, right? But a lot of risk can come out of that as well because of that change. And unless you are a coder or know what, have the skills to be able to manage that environment, you're putting your company at risk. I laughed with Angela, and I think she alluded to it earlier. I've always got this analogy, and it's such a South African one that anyone international won't relate to it. But during all of the power failures we had here, we had a lot of homeless folk manning big traffic intersections. One of our biggest was the corner of Main and Witkoop, and it's this massive log jam. And these homeless guys would stagger in and literally stagger, because the one morning I was sitting there and the guy was smoking a joint, got up and started directing traffic,
So local.
And the amazing thing is that it works, right? You listen and everybody follows, and it works perfectly until the day that it doesn't work and there's an accident. Your insurance isn't going to come for your help. I mean, can you imagine filling out that insurance form saying that, I trusted a high homeless guy and went through an intersection, and there's no one that you can help, can call to help you. And I think that's a bit like the open source world in a respect. Open source is fantastic. It's a fantastic place for innovation to use, to learn, to do all of those things. But have the trained, certified traffic warden in your data center looking after your data. So I think that's key. Is learn, but keep a stable infrastructure.
So basically, you are not high homeless guys.
No. Well,
at least last time we checked.
After
Last
this
time we
podcast,
checked.
right?
But if you were, I mean, at least you have a job opportunity for you at the corner of Main and Witkopp, because those robots never work.
No, exactly.
They just don't.
Yeah. And what the funny thing is, it's now the homeless guys that are interfering with the traffic
it's gone
lights
full circle now.
to keep their jobs going. So we can draw another analogy.
I was just going to say, I think that's such a great analogy in terms of the world of open source and what it means to enterprise IT, but more specifically, I think what it means to us on the sub-Saharan African continent, because it has been the great leveler, right? It's allowed a lot of startups and guys with really great ideas to punch way above their weight in terms of accessing a market, in terms of building great technology and building solutions. So it is, again, I like to use that word democratization of technology, because that's exactly what it's done. But you also have to, at some point in time, you do graduate from being the toddler into being the adult. You know, when you've built a really decent business, scale is one of the things these days that if you speak to any successful venture capitalist, that's what they focus on with startups and organizations is it's like, okay, you've got a great idea, but how are you going to scale this idea? Because your potential audience, it's the 6 billion people in the world, right? Mm-hmm. How are you going to scale to actually serve them? And this is where I suppose we cross the line from just being, you know, stuff you get for free and you can build great stuff with to stuff that comes with a cost but provides a guarantee. And I think that's been the core foundation that Red Hat's built its business on for the last 30 odd years is that you don't just pay a fee for getting software, you actually pay a fee for getting a certain level of trust and consistency.
A traffic warden.
Correct.
Exactly. You know, it's
yeah.
I don't want to call it a tax because then a lot of people might not like it. Right?
Well, no, I mean it's basically a fair exchange of trust and exchange for resources. You know, which I think relevant.
A really good exchange of value.
Yes.
In terms of that.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're right. And I think this also ties very closely to another part of the conversation I want to have with you guys today. And I think which is absolutely inherent to what we've just said in terms of guardrails and in terms of having trusted support, which is the absolute onrush of AI. Which is being used in multiple ways by organizations and often not in safe ways. Like people don't realize the value or the need for a walled garden. They're just using free AI. So how do you guys feel this needs to evolve within, as you say, within the open source enterprise environment? And what do companies need to be aware of?
Sure.
That's a big question.
It's a good question and a big question. So I think with the rise of AI and free AI, AI can write its own software and is constantly evolving, as you said. So certain tool sets to what you spoke about earlier, like Ansible, are an automation tool set. That is something that if AI and Ansible work together and there was a bad agent in there, it's basically giving someone the keys to your door and telling it to do whatever it wants to do, right? So you need to be aware of how things interact or how things are working together. You know, if you have got free automation on your network, understand the risk that if it goes rogue, there could be serious consequences, and it could be caused by AI in the open source world writing that code.
That's crazy.
Well, you wouldn't let me pull up my stats, but if I remember correctly, there's been a 47% increase in AI-generated threats to organizations. So that's AI writing code to. So it's no longer a Russian teenager eating pizza in a basement who's creating threats. It's supercomputers at a massive scale writing these vulnerabilities. And a lot of that comes out of the open source world. I mean, have a look at DeepSeek. DeepSeek came out of absolutely nowhere, but it was because it came out of the open source environment that was able to grow so quickly.
But then it was compromised.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it hasn't really regained its feet since then, has it? The reputation was fundamentally damaged.
Correct.
Yeah.
But again, in the bigger picture of that, this is my personal view on this, is that it is a good thing that AI and AI tools lives in the public domain, because we wouldn't have known about the shortcomings if those things weren't in the public domain. Right? Somebody went and, either through whatever motivation it might be, there's a lot of folks out there that just interested to take things apart and see how they work. And those are probably the people that found the shortcomings. And this is actually what the entirety of open source has been built on over the last 40 years is the fact that it's in the public domain. It will attract the scrutiny of people, and things that are wrong will get pointed out. And it remains in the open. I mean, can you imagine if all AI was privatized?
Sure.
Right? And
Oh no, it'd be terrible. It'd be so bland. It would just stagnate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't get anything of value, or we wouldn't get any innovation, because again, it's that concept of scale. Even the biggest company in the world right now cannot scale with enough people to find innovative ways to use these tools. If you look at what the big folks are doing, they are driven by trying to build some sort of product, not maybe create some sort of use out of the AI. If you think about, OpenAI, ChatGPT, you've got the competitors in different areas like Claude and Google are trying to play in the space and all of them. But you can see that they're moving towards, shrink wrapping a product for people, as opposed to what is the next big thing that I can do with this. And when it's out in the open, for good or for bad, as Ian was saying, people are innovating with it, right?
Absolutely.
So today they're using the AI, and I often, when I speak to a lot of our customers, are saying, okay, but we're under pressure to do something with AI because the board said we need to do something with AI.
Make a pizza.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of folks don't know where to start.
Yes,
okay?
it's a big issue. Yeah.
And God forbid another company puts up another annoying little chatbot on the bottom right-hand corner of their webpage. That's not AI. Okay. My advice to a lot of folks is to say, okay, I'm not going to solve your problem today. I've got some tools that maybe once you know what the problem is and how to address it, come talk to us, because we can help you get there really, really quickly when it comes to the plumbing. But first think about it. And one of the best analogies I can come up with is I take the two letters and turn them around. Rather than using AI, just use IA and use it as intelligent automation.
Oh, that's clever.
What in your business can you use this great technology for to intelligently automate your business? Right.
Yeah.
And that usually gets you to a bit of better thinking, that when it's insurance, then the guys start thinking about, but maybe it's a good idea to have some AI capability so that people can query the terms and conditions of the insurance. Are they not covered for this? Because when was the last time you read the 50 pages worth of fine print?
Every day. Every day, Chris.
Well, I'm
joking. I'm totally lying.
I'm the 1%.
No, I'm completely lying. And I was literally had this amazing joke on the tip of my tongue about every time I buy an app, I just read those Apple terms and conditions. Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was a great documentary about that.
Was there
a couple
really?
of years ago. The terms and conditions apply.
Yes, I remember that.
But it's the reality. And today we have the tools to make that easy. Yeah, maybe it's a grey area. Doesn't insurer really want you to go and query all the ins and outs? Okay, but if you take that as an example, it becomes, if you're a retailer, you could actually have the AI interact with the logistics process. With something like, when's my package getting delivered? The AI can now go and say, well, I know I'm going to DHL and I've got this partner and it's in this customs, and it can give you a concise feedback about exactly what's going to happen in terms of this. If we take that one step further, it's like, it's going to make us think about how does technology actually influence our business process, or what bits of our business process can we almost codify or describe with this technology? And then the options become endless. There are those real deep scientific cases, but the target audiences for that, I don't think there are a lot. I mean, telcos, in the telecommunications business, being able to analyze these large volumes of data it's going to make us make better calls one of these days because it optimizes radio networks, etc. But I think for the real, the mom and pop to the recognized brand IT business, think about how it's going to automate your business. That's where we're going to derive value out of it.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I have certainly noticed in conversations is, and you really did nail it just now, is that everybody's talking about AI, right? But there are two massive stress points. Where do I start? And there's that sense, I think, from most companies that they feel like everybody else knows where to start. The perception that everybody else has somehow been given this magical gift of knowledge where they just know, yes, my AI is going to go over here. And everyone feels like they're being left behind. And then the other thing is that once AI is implemented within systems and solutions, within those ecosystems, people themselves don't know how to use the AI to their own benefit for the same reason. It's like, as you go deeper within it. So starting with you, Ian, can you talk me through kind of what you think companies need to do to address that? Like, where would you say, I mean, you've got that starting point, which is amazing. What other starting point would you consider?
Interesting. I'll talk about my own experience and then what our company is doing. We've actually formed this fractional group within my ecosystem called the Grumpy Old AI guys, where we getting together at a sort of lunch and learn. We all trying to understand these tools and how to address the tools and how to make it relevant. And as Chris was saying, it's amazing at aggregating information. So you can imagine being an IT company, we've got an amazing amount of documentation and presentations and typically for myself, I've got years and years and years worth of presentations and mails and whatever that I've sent out that takes me a long time to try and find. And AI has consolidated all of that, and I can now literally at a prompt point it at my laptop and say, find me this document, or when I did this, can you tell me what happened, or I have this scenario, can you give me the sales figures or whatever. So this is part of the learning that we go in. I found a limitation that I couldn't get a full sales report, and I was like, oh, what do I do? Friday group, no, you don't have enough tokens. This is how you address it. I didn't know that. And then, things go wrong and they say, well, you haven't given AI a personality. This is how you give it a personality. And this is how you start learning for yourself and cutting down that time. So for me and my division, it's cut down a lot of time. And then if you have a look at our software, one of the most basic things that has happened is in our operating system, our Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So with our latest version, it now integrates AI that will go and help you with all of the manual pages and the help pages and, 20 years worth of back history and industry knowledge that it brings into it. So that brings down the fear factor for any new admin and the time to manage that. So add a command prompt, someone can say, oh gosh, how do I install this? It'll go and reference it and tell you how to install it, and you just carry on.
Nice.
Whereas previously it would be Google or a big thick manual or whatever it is. Those are simple applications that are making things a hell of a lot easier and making it more accessible for people to use AI in a simplistic way. So it's not these huge whatever it is. It's an operating system, right? Boring, but amazingly innovative. So, yeah.
That's amazing, because that actually really does take a lot of the pressure off people. Because people,
Huge.
let's face it, nobody likes to feel stupid, right?
No.
And nobody likes to feel like they're being left behind. And I feel like AI has kind of taken off as a concept and left the tire marks on the road, that everyone's sort of still sitting at the start line going, and now?
Yeah.
You know, and this simplifies it.
Absolutely.
You know? That's such a clever way of doing it.
And just from explaining things, sorry, Chris, I cut you off there. I had one of my customers the other day say, you know, they Googled one of our products and said, explain it to me as a 15-year-old, and it gave him a perfect explanation. It gave him the confidence to just
That's brilliant. It's like that guy who does the explaining rugby terms like a toddler. Have you seen him? He's great.
Brilliant.
You're like, and then they take the ball. Maybe we just need to do an AI version. Do you know what I'm saying?
I could do that for American football, because who understands what happened there?
I don't know. They just run at each other and cross. I think that's pretty much the summary of it, you know. Also, speaking of your grumpy AI guys.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, is it just guys? Because I have got a fake moustache I can wear, like a fake beard.
No, it was a secret underground club that's, I suppose, now very
Now everybody knows about it. So
Secrets out, right?
we will talk afterwards about membership, because I do have a fake beard. Yeah.
No. It's you don't have to be a grey beard. Just inquisitive and.
Disappointed though. I was kind of excited
Not
about
too
wearing
clever.
my beard.
We don't want too clever there.
No, okay, that's fine. I fit in just fine. So, Chris, I feel like we both interrupted you.
No.
Because I was super excited about my beard. But do you want to tell us what you were going to say just now?
No, I just think it's a very fascinating approach, because as a technical, somebody with a technical background, a deep history, we don't always realize that we can leave people behind, right?
Yes.
And I think that's exactly what potentially our industry, the internet age, has done to a certain extent over the last 20 years. It's left a lot of people behind, you know, and this great new technology that AI is bringing, and I still believe it's actually still very much in its toddler phase, to be very honest, of where we're at. It will bring that dream of humanizing machines a bit, you know, making them more approachable to the average person in there, so that they can access the capability. If you think about, you know, just some of the scenarios you've done, how much time has it saved you?
Huge.
Okay. We just need to be careful not to step into the trap of, okay, because we have more time, we want to do more things. Let's use the time, you know, to bring back the balance at the end of the day.
Which we have lost. We have lost. I mean, burnout has been an actual conversation point in these podcasts, you know.
And it's a real thing. You know? So and that leads me to this, you know, the looking or gazing into the crystal ball of the future. If you go back about 12 months, you would have seen a lot of stuff in the press about AI will replace. It's coming to take your job, right? I seriously think that there's a bit of fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
There's a lot of fear.
That's spread around that. I think don't ignore it. Okay, whether you're an individual or whether you're an organization, the cost of ignoring it will be to your detriment. Pay attention to it, but it will create a lot of opportunity. If it's going to help you do your job better, then, you know, embrace it. Don't fear actually trying something out. And it's exactly that. And to Ian's point, is something that we do appreciate, and maybe, you know, as a starting point for companies. Coming back to where do we start? It's like, you know, just give people access to the tool. Speak again to somebody and say, okay, I need to put some safeguards in place. And the guys that are really doing great work in the space, the Googles and the open AIs of the world, they can come to you and they can say, look, these are the guardrails we can put in place for you. We won't let it access your sensitive data. We won't let it upload your data. We won't let it take people's information and use it for retraining the model or something like that. But I think, like our organization that just gave people access to a tool and said, go and try it out. Okay, go and learn things, was a huge enabler, because that removes that fear in terms of that. And then all of a sudden, I think it exploded in our organization. All of a sudden, people have found amazing ways to take the toil out of their daily job.
Yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. And I do think that is such an important thing, because when people realize, because a lot of people also think that if they fail with AI, then they're a loser and they don't know what they're doing. But if they go in there and they just sort of fail, make mistakes, get stupid results, do things with AI and let them be rubbish, because the next time if you just keep allowing yourself that space to play, then it changes the whole story. And that is both on an individual level and on an enterprise level, But with that in mind, I think I would like to ask you guys just one more question. And that is to talk about, I just want you guys to give me a visual on how do you see these trends, the ones that we've spoken about across AI and the implementation of different technologies and the guardrails. How do you see these impacting enterprises over the next year? And what do you think is going to be the most significant thing that a business has to just think of right now to achieve that change?
Sure, that's like asking for the lotto numbers, right?
I'm very excited. I'll just get my pen.
I'll ask AI.
While you do that, we'll get Chris to answer the question.
Yeah. It's like a lot of things in technology. Change is inevitable. Either you embrace it or the world passes you by in terms of that. So from an enterprise perspective, again, it's about have an objective. If you're going to embrace something and take something on board, you got to have an objective. How these things will affect enterprises, I think it's going to change the nature of people's work. Not just maybe the traditional, the IT team, the technology team. They will definitely, I think, be the departments that benefit first from it, because they are naturally drawn to new technology. People with a technical bent doing it. They will be easy to adopt it. The ways in which they're going to adopt it, as Ian was mentioning, everybody is going to be doing it. So you will find that even basic infrastructure systems are going to become intelligent in that sense, right? Where the interaction will be a much more of a natural interaction. That is definitely going to change. We already see it. There's been some great stuff, and what is needed to happen is for standards to catch up with innovation, but we're there now. And again, because this all happened in the open, there are some great standards. But we'll get to the point where everything that you use, whether it's a network switch, whether it's an operating system, whether it's your database, it will have some sort of context protocol, or what the industry is developing is this thing called a model context protocol, where that system is able to describe itself to your language model in the organization and will allow the human to interact with the system. So rather than, Ian was saying, needing to know the 5,000-page manual of the operating system, you could just say, I would really like you to turn on the firewall and only allow web traffic into this machine. Right? And that can be interpreted into actual actionable activities done on that operating system.
That's going to just change the way organizations feel about security and business as a whole.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because now we can express the intent. We don't need to take the intent and translate it into some technical jargon. Right? As a human, we will be able to express our intent, and the system will understand what we're trying to do. So that is the way I see this technology changing that. Now to come full circle, for you to do that in a safe manner and still satisfy the people who come to the command and control aspect of it, this is where standardizing is going to make a lot of sense. You now need to, when you implement a technology, and open standards are great for this, when you pick a vendor, when you pick hardware, when you pick software, you're going to do that with a thought, okay, does this comply to this open standard? Will it always behave consistently in the same fashion when I plug it into, this brain that I'm putting into my organization to run the day-to-day operations? So that, I think, is going to be the profound impact that we're going to see. Maybe not in the next year, but definitely on a 2 to 3 year horizon, it's definitely there, because some of that stuff's there today.
That's amazing. That's so cool. I mean, you know, a bit of a digression there, but have you ever read the series Murderbot? Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it. It's on my reading list.
It's fantastic. And it literally is a sec unit that is capable of communicating with other security systems. Like it's like the actual books are brilliant, but it is very similar to what you've just described, where a technology item that is the sec unit, which is the character of the book, can communicate with other security systems to achieve specific goals.
Yes.
That's not the whole story, obviously, but that is one of the elements of the book. And you've literally described Martha Wells's book,
I
which is
love it.
amazing.
And he sits and watches some series or other, and he bases all of his
the rise and fall of Sanctuary Moon, which is
all of his emotions. It's a bit like Elon Musk's basing his AI on Twitter, right?
But I mean, we're approaching the realm of science fiction becoming science fact, right?
We are. Haven't we already passed that point?
I mean, now a lot of people are saying, well, do we really need to start thinking about Isaac Asimov's rules?
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm going to say probably, yeah.
But it's a testament to the fact that this technology, and if you are going to intelligently automate your systems and your environment and business, it's good to know what went into the control system, right? And this is a very, very hot topic, I think, in the industry at the moment. It's not just about, you know, what knobs have been turned inside of the model to get to certain results, but how did we train those things in the first place?
Exactly.
Because there's a very, very grey area in this sense of what went into it. Where does the knowledge come from?
The whole black box concept, right?
Exactly. But it's also, you know, whose data is it? Whose information is it? Who owns anything produced out of that? Who owns the copyright, right? Because if it was copyrighted material that was used to train the model, that becomes dark. It's the same with writing code. This is something that the open source community is really grappling with, is how do we manage this? Because the AI in the model, it generates code, but it does not come up with an innovative way. Okay, there's a very great statement I heard somebody make it the other days. Any code generated by an AI is already legacy code, because it just regurgitates something that it learned somewhere else.
Yes, that is true.
It did not invent anything.
Not yet.
Yeah. So whatever we put into it, we need to have controls. And the world and the industry at large is frantically working on saying, okay, how do we validate what's going into this so that, you know, we can, it's almost like having a chain of custody for evidence, right? So we can prove whatever went into it, how it went through it, and how
that affects its output.
Sure.
Because that's going to have fundamental impacts on the business and life. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's one of the AI rules that all code needs to be written in English so it can be checked, because AI has the capacity to create its own language, and that's when the guys say the matrix happens, you know. So
we'd like to avoid that.
We would.
Yeah.
But I like what Chris was saying around standardization. Again, through personal, a lot of times the data that you get back is completely incorrect, and it takes experience to see that it's incorrect, otherwise it becomes fact. So I think that's never going to take away from having experience and knowing what something should look like and asking the correct questions, which leads us full circle back to the traffic warden versus the homeless person directing traffic. As you know, if you use a safe source or a company who knows what they're doing to set up your infrastructure and follow certain rules, you can have a far better experience if something goes wrong.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Thank you guys so much.
Absolute
that was
pleasure.
an amazing conversation. I do feel there were several rabbit holes we could have gone down.
Oh,
I feel
terribly.
we could have
Massive.
rabbit holed hard. Had to just pull us back. But thank you so much. That was an amazing conversation, and thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
was awesome.